Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Start with Chris, add a dash of sport, squeeze in some music, then shake, don't stir. And you've got the ultimate blend, LTID, with your host, Chris.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good evening, goodbye, good whatever. Good times. 2-1. Yeah, you don't have to pinch yourself. It happened. Leicester City won a game. We only played one defensive midfielder. We actually had somebody that looked at this game and said, "We need to win this. We better not go all defensive." I know. You wouldn't believe it, would you? You'd think I was going mad. And again, substitutions at half time. What is going wrong at this club? Have we suddenly got in here somebody that's running it that knows what they're talking about? Surely not. We've had one of those, haven't we, for the past 4.5 odd years? Yeah. Shall I move on? Should I get excited, though? Should I really, really get excited? Or is it too early? I don't know. But this is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Thank you for joining us. And if you are listening to the podcast, thank you so much for lending me your ears. We are on all the main podcast platforms.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor and all podcast platforms.
Something is coming. Something big.
You know, when you're looking for something and you just cannot find what you've done with it, and then you suddenly realise it's right down at the bottom. And then you realise it's too late, you've gone past the moment. We are on all the major podcast platforms, and as you can see from that, we are also all over your socials. We're all over Brad as well, and I'm sure he'd prefer us not to be all over him. Brad, good evening, sir. Happy?
Yeah, for once in my life, this weekend's been a very good weekend in football for Leicester fans and myself in general. So, yeah, it's been a good weekend, mate. Very happy.
Good. Highfields is in. Good evening, Highfields. How are you? And Nate is in all the way from the good old US of A. Leicester City won a game and I missed it again. You know, there is something happening here, Nate. There's a bit of a, what do they call it, coincidence occurring. I'm saying nothing. I am saying absolutely nothing. But it wasn't just the win, was it? It was like the team that was put out, the attacking intent. It was just like the whole thing was had to smile. I mean, all right, after 8 minutes we all went a bit like, But I don't think 2 weeks ago we would have won that game.
Oh, not a chance. Not the way Brandon was lining us up and having us play. It just wasn't going to happen. And sometimes doing the simple things in football is what works, you know. I know we don't like to talk about the past and hold on to it too much, but anyone who thought that throwaway 3-1 defeat to Man City was nothing to talk right home about, try telling that to Spurs fans.
Yes. He's been sacked.
Yes, and they've left a 16-year-old in charge in Ryan Mason.
Yeah.
So can't get any worse. I mean, they couldn't even win the second half. They only drew it.
Well, this is true. And can I just say, look, I mean, you shouldn't laugh at another team's problems because we have our own, but this is Spurs, so it's allowed.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of seasons ago, they took 9 attempts before they found somebody that would actually take the job on. Not the fact that they took 9 attempts to offer it to somebody, took 9 attempts to find somebody that actually wanted to go and manage them. Then, after a season and a half, they got rid of him because everybody used to say Rodgers sort of wanted to get himself sacked. I think Conte definitely did. And so they replaced him. And now they've sacked the guy that's replaced the guy that they sacked. I mean, it's Disneyland, isn't it?
It's definitely something. I mean, I said, I put on my Facebook page, what does Tottenham Hotspur, a clown, and a comedian all have in common? And that was, you're not sure quite what you're going to get, but you know by the end of the show they're going to leave you in it with stitches and laughing, because just watching them is funny. It's embarrassingly funny though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Terry, I think you used the same stream as I do, and it was bloody awful.
Yeah.
I didn't have much to say about the match because I didn't see most of it. But look, we are going to have a bit of fun tonight. Shall we see what Mr. Smith had to say after the game?
Let's. We might even see a smile, Chris. Who knows?
Well, it has been known, hasn't it? It has been known that a smile appears occasionally. Okay, let me just bring this up. There's the league table, which doesn't look quite as bad, and I know it's only on goal difference, but who gives a shit? But here we go.
I'll take it if that's how it is at the end of the season, mate. I'm sure every Leicester fan would.
Exactly. Let's have a look at Mr. Smith. Here we go.
He's not saying much. He's very still.
No, you're quite right.
Talking along with Jerry Taggart.
Oh, this is the highlights. Here we go. Let's have a look at the highlights.
John Terry was the absolute expert at that on the pitch, and how hopefully that can translate. Tielemans has been robbed here. Wolves are in. It's a bit of a gift, and they've taken it. Mateus Cunha scores. Leicester gave it away, and a bright start has come to nothing because Wolves have scored after 13 minutes.
Faze turning his back on the ball.
Yeah, a little bit of criticism goes for it. It's one of them. You either commit to it. I don't know if the handball bias rule gets in your head, and you see it a lot, don't you? Know, I think we scored a few goals where the defender who has just moved out of the way of it and it's helped sail in the net.
The FA Cup. Yes,
just about to say Thiago Silva against Tielemans. So it's a mistake that needs to be stopping happening, but we'll find out when. I mean, Dean Smith does bring that up. So, but yeah, it's a lesser mistake as per whole season that's cost us a goal there again.
But then it gets better. Let's go back.
37 minutes gone. Feels like a massive moment in Leicester City's season. Jose Sarr bounces on his line. Here comes Kelechi Iheanacho, scores! 1-1. Maybe, just maybe, a mood-changing goal inside King Power Stadium. Dean Smith's first home goal is scored by Kelechi Iheanacho. 1-1 into...
Now, I know you don't like to see players do that running up to take the penalty. It gave me the shits, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
Up and blast it. But look, it was a cool penalty.
Yeah, considering our situation, given the moment, given the match, it was a very cool penalty. I mean, he sat Jose Sarr down, so it looks even more comfortable. The other thing that does annoy me about them stuttering penalties is they look brilliant when they happen like that.
Yes.
But with this encroachment rule, I was thinking, God, I'm surprised they didn't check for an encroachment, because it did look like there was some movement. Thankfully, there wasn't. He didn't have to retake it, and hindsight's a wonderful thing knowing that. But he scored it, and I said it after the match, didn't I, to you, Chris? You felt the atmosphere found a second lease of life in the ground, and we all know what happened afterwards.
We do. Let's have a look at what happened afterwards. I've got to say this before we go any further, and I'm not going to get excited. I am going to get excited because we've not had a lot to get excited about this season. But
it's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming. Football's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming. Football's coming home.
And just for you, Brad, because that was for me. And why not? That's what I
Yeah,
say.
might as well enjoy it. And I tell you what was so pleasing about that second goal. It wasn't just because it gave us a win. It wasn't just because it was at that point where you probably felt that if the game had gone on much longer, we would have all kind of gone, you know what, take the point. We wanted the win, but take the point. But the build-up play, that was Leicester of 2.5 years ago. It was sexy football. I mean, Samare takes a little run. He passes it to Iheanacho, gives it in Baku, gives it to Christensen, the trouble ball across the box where the defenders don't know whether to stick or twist, Castagne rolling it in. It looked like a Leicester move of old. It was nice to see a little bit of that back for the goal.
There was. And look, I mean, do you remember the Hair Bear bunch? I was talking to
I
Ant.
do.
You remember the Ant looked to me, but Ant's just a baby, of course. But yeah, that's my new nickname for the back too. But look, do you remember Andy King's goal against West Ham in the Great Escape season?
Yes, I do. The back pit, Andy King at the back of the stick, as they used to say, was his trademark goal.
He scored some important goals for us, and again, he gets too much stick for me. But look, that goal that I have just witnessed there, and I witnessed on Saturday. Well, I didn't witness on Saturday because it was a bloody awful stream. But that goal that I've just witnessed there has a feel of that Andy King, because that Andy King goal against West Ham, which was a toe poke in, but it was like that's what kick-started the Great Escape. And I wonder, because to me, that has that sort of feel about it.
It does in an eerie sense as well, because if I remember rightly, we then had West Ham, and we played someone like Swansea just afterwards, and he scored again in that game, didn't he? He scored again. I think it was more a comfortable 2-0 win. It wasn't a goal by Swansea on that occasion, but we beat them 2-0. We played someone else in and around us, and we beat them away. It might have even been Burnley, I think it might have been where they missed the penalty. We went up the other end. And we're in the same sort of situation with the fact that we've got Leeds away, Tuesday night. We've got Everton at home. And these are the sort of things that if we're going to do another Great Escape, because, all right, it's not going to be a Great Escape in terms of statistically, because we're never bottom. Well, we nearly could have been had Southampton not bottled the lead they had over Arsenal. But in terms of surviving a season where we've looked dead and buried, it would mimic it in that sector, wouldn't it? And that's where it all counts, realistically.
You know, if you're going to be a Forest fan, I was having banter with on Twitter. Said,
don't
in the
say
bottom
that.
three, it's not the Great Escape. And then I love the Leicester fan that went on and did us winning the Premier League again. You'll never reach these heights, and I'm like, oh dear. It's Nottingham Forest who won the European Cup. But anyway,
but they won the European Cup when no one cared about it. Like there was two teams in it, so it doesn't count really. Nottingham.
No, that is very true. That is very true. But look, let's take. I mean, Highfield says here, Kelechi missed the penalty last season doing the step up at Palace away.
He did.
I mean, Vardy was injured, so he couldn't take it because he probably would have been the first choice. Tielemans has not so long ago missed a penalty, didn't he? I can't remember which match it was in. And I was started thinking, who's going to be taking this penalty? And and when it was Iheanacho, I thought, this is the guy who scored against his former team in the 91st minute at Wembley to win us the English Super Cup. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, no, you shouldn't miss a penalty. We know that, but penalties are missed. But I think out of the choice that we had, I'm glad Kelechi went up to take it.
Yeah, I am. I mean, yes, he had a stuttery start to his penalty-taking career. I'm a big advocate of strikers taking penalties for me because it kind of should come with a job description.
Yes.
I think you're a striker. You're used to scoring goals in pressure situations. You're used to scoring goals where maybe everybody else on the pitch, from midfielder and defender, wouldn't be expected to score. And you should take the impetus, lead from the front. And let's face it, we're not just talking on the pitch, but we're going to need a replacement for the reliable Vardy of penalty duties anyway. And he has been given that responsibility.
Yes.
We're not getting to have Tielemans here next year, so we can't keep giving him the responsibility. We need somebody here who, if Leicester do stay up, and we're still obviously a long way off securing that, this is only one win. we can't, as much as we're trying not to, get ahead of ourselves here, but we need somebody who we can rely on in their moments. Go, okay, we've got ourselves a Paul Gallagher here. We've got ourselves a Jamie Vardy. We're more confident he's going to score it than miss them.
Yeah. Do you remember? I keep taking you back here, don't I? If anybody wonders, that is Earth, Wind and Fire September. I'm humming in my head when I do that. I think it was the year we got promoted, and David Nugent was our top scorer that season. And he'd said at the start of the season, I need to start taking more penalties because he was our number one striker. Quite rightly at the time. I think he was, Vardy hadn't yet made that breakthrough to be, the number one. And he got most of them. It's got to be a striker's responsibility, then a midfielder, then a defender for me.
Yeah.
And if you're Man United, you hope it doesn't get down to the goalkeeper.
Yeah. And if you're Brighton, you hope that March doesn't take a penalty when it's not March. But yeah, you should. I always felt it was strange. I mean, don't get me wrong. Leicester have been quite fortunate over years, but it always puzzled me growing up in the 90s watching Heskey, Claridge, Marshall, even Graham Fenton, who could take a penalty. He took a few penalties for us when he was on the pitch under O'Neill, but it was always left to the likes of Izzet. I mean, I remember some of our penalty shootouts, the infamous FA Cup penalty shootout against Arsenal. When we beat Leeds and Fulham, we beat on our way to Wembley one year on penalty shootouts.
Yes.
But I always found it strange that we had Elliott, Walsh ahead of the likes of Heskey and Cotty and players like that. I thought, you're a striker, lead from the example. Surely, out of all the goals you score in your career, the penalty should be the easiest one for you to lash it in the back of the net. That's why they say a penalty favours the striker.
Yeah, I suppose if you are like an Izzet that can put them away.
Or an Eden Hazard, I guess, but he's a left winger for another example of a midfielder. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but it's like, to me, I remember, when we lost on penalties, Southgate, where was Paul Ince?
Yeah.
He should have been there. I know, maybe he doesn't feel confident, but he should. But anyway, we're going off on a tangent. Terry, Castagne's looked better under Smith. Chris, it wasn't just Cags that Rodgers was responsible for. It looks like half the team. Let's not get too carried away, but yeah, come on. Rico, good evening. Welcome along. Before we get on to the next video, it sounds like this is, the blue channel with the background we've got here. Dean Smith, just Dallas. There you go. That's the next video up. I saw this picture on social media and I thought, what the hell? Now, I have doctored it a little bit, as you will see, but as I ask, anyone remember the last time we saw this amount of passion in the technical area? And you can just see Brendan popping his head up at the bottom there.
The little seal that is.
Yes. I mean, even when he scored, it was, wasn't it? That if that is what he is in, if that is him, that's what he's going to install into his players, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you saw the reaction of the players after Kel scored the penalties. You saw the massive celebrations. Okay, that's probably influenced by the relief as well of the situation Leicester are in, and they ended up putting themselves in that come the full-time result. But you saw the celebrations from the equaliser. You saw the celebrations when Castagne made it 2-1, and the full-time celebrations, the staff. I mean, Kelechi Iheanacho, I've never known him to leap off the air and be an aerial threat, but if he could use his celebration to leap up for some corners, he must have been about 10 foot in the air. I love the picture.
Corner, I remember against Brighton when it was bloody freezing in the 93rd minute injury time. Look at that. I mean, that is, I've jokingly said, could this mean at the bottom? And I know it's not, but I've not been Tielemans' biggest fan at times this season, and the funny thing is, I've just cut it off there, but Vardy is stood next to him looking like he couldn't give a poo. But Tielemans there, I mean, he's on the subs bench at that point. Fair play to the guy.
Yeah, it's good to see the passion within it. it shows you that anything that Dean Smith has said before, prior to being in charge for the Man City game and that game, it is all smoke and mirrors. It isn't just a little script that he's read saying the same old, but he's clearly instilled that in there. I mean, I can forgive Vardy. You know, I know you had a little life's a pitch moment about him laughing with Haaland or through that. I can give Vardy here because he's obviously disgruntled. He'd rolled his ankle and he probably didn't feel like leaping around because he didn't want to do any damage.
No, but it was just a look on his face as well, you know.
Yeah, of course. I suppose
it looked like
it's
he
hard.
kind of let one out, but
It might have been. He might have got permission from his wife to let out a fart. We don't know. But yeah, it's good to see.
This is true. It's true.
Good. It's good to see the passion, especially when you could easily say that Dean Smith could have gone into that dressing room and gone, "You sign a new contract." No, under 21s. You sign a new contract. You know, he could have done that, and then we could have never seen certain players again. The fact that he's going, whatever your decision is in the summer, we'll let it be. He's energised them, and you can just see it, Chris, can't you? You can see it in that picture.
Talking of energising them, shall we have a look what Dean Smith had to say after the match?
Let's, mate.
Let's, because I've not seen these myself yet, so I'm quite excited.
You think we're sponsored by a trading company?
Dean, congratulations. Your first win as Leicester City manager. You must be a very happy man.
Yeah, really pleased. We wanted an aggressive start. I thought we got that. Unfortunately, another mistake cost us for the goal. And Wolves punished us. And then I thought it was tough for 20 minutes. I thought we got a little bit overrun in midfield. You know, their movements and their timing was a little bit better than ours. You know, but then we play a ball into the space, and Jamie Vardy does what he does best when the ball's in there. You know, beats the goalkeeper to it, wins the penalty, and you know, we can go in at half time all square. And you know, he'd rolled his ankle, so it gave me the opportunity to change it and get another number in midfield. And I thought we started the second half really well and created some really big chances. The goalkeeper's made a good save from Dakar, and Keenan's put the rebound over the bar, and then Cags has had a really good chance from a corner, and the keeper's made a really good save again. So I thought we created the big chances. I thought they were less of a threat in the second half, and we defended our box really well. So really pleasing, because that will give everybody a big lift, given the current run of form we was on.
You've spoken a lot about collective spirit and character. They showed all that, didn't they, having gone behind, not just to win the game, but to win it having gone behind.
Yeah, to come from behind with the current run of form, we're on to another mistake, concede a goal to another mistake. You know, it's very easy as a player to think everything's against you, but you know, there has been a lot of questioning in our spirit. I thought that showed it. We've still got 6 massive games to come, but this gives us all a big lift. But we won't rest on our laurels. We'll get prepared and ready now for Leeds on Tuesday.
And you must have enjoyed some of the football that the team played, including the move and the finish for the second goal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you've got your left back crossing to your right back to score, it just shows how aggressive we were at times. You know, I thought Bouba Samari was outstanding as well. Won a lot of ball, carried the ball really well for us as well. So, but some of our link-up play when we're on it is very good, and it just shows the ability of these players.
We saw what it meant to everybody at full time. How important do you think the 3 points are for the whole mood of the place?
I think it's big, again, just because of the current run of form. You know, you could see the fans got behind us. I said before the game we need to get them off their seats and cheering, and they go home happy today, because this can be a real tough place for teams to come and play. And hopefully we can continue that on Tuesday.
We've spoken about the goals, but defensively as well, there was some serious pressure at the end from Wolves, and to hold on and to block and tackle as well as it did must be very pleasing.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to put your bodies on the line at times. You know, Dan's made a good save from Neves' free kick as well. You know, I think that was probably their biggest chance in the second half. But there's some really good blocks. We've got numbers in the box, defended really well, and you know, we always found that out ball when we needed to. Probably the last 5 or 6 minutes, you know, we probably dropped a little bit too deep and never really had an out ball from them, but defended it well.
And just finally, you mentioned Jamie Vardy rolling his ankle. Do you think he'll be okay for Tuesday? And what's the news on James Maddison and I guess Harvey Barnes as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see from, you know, the 8 minutes after the penalty, Jamie Vardy was back running and sprinting. But I just felt that, I could say, listen, you've done enough for us. You've won that penalty, got us back in the game. We had our 3 centre forwards on the pitch anyway. So I felt it was, the right time to go and rest Vards at that period then and get another midfielder on. And I thought that worked well.
And James and Harvey?
Yeah, so Madders, I got the dreaded phone call from the doc this morning to tell me that Madders had been up with sickness during the night, so it wasn't well enough. I would expect him to be ready for Leeds, and Harvey will train with us tomorrow as well. Hopefully he's ready for Leeds as well.
We are indeed. I'm trying to get rid of the sponsorship, but there's not a lot I can do. Brookline, he said the word there, didn't he? Honesty.
Yeah, it is. It's so refreshing. It's just refreshing. I mean, I almost want to give the guy the contract now. Sod this interim.
Well, I was going to say, are we listening to somebody talking themselves into a job?
Yeah, Chris, we really are. I mean, I love the fact that if you went back and it bore you to death to do, so don't do it. Please don't do it. It'd come with a health warning. But if you went back and listened to some of the Seals post matches when he was talking about, we went too deep, I like the fact that he kind of went, we went a little bit in our ads, but we did well. We did our job well, and that's what ultimately mattered. So he praised the fact that even though it was a bit deeper than he liked, he understood and appreciated the situation we were in. We haven't won in, 8 games before this one. Yeah. It would have been easy for us to, it's a lot harder to do what you want, what you're being told mentally in that defensive moment to be a bit on the edge. Like you said, okay, we didn't have the outlet for the last 8 minutes, but they got the job done, and that's all that matters. So the way he talks, I saw the comment you put up there, Chris, spot on. He's just not lying to these players. He's being honest, and you've got to love it.
Talking of the predecessors' press conferences, and I shouldn't joke about these things, but I've been there myself, so I feel I'm a little bit allowed to. But apparently, Samaritans have had to lay some staff off because everybody in Leicester stopped ringing them on a Saturday evening.
Sounds about right.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, it's just great to see. He mentioned him there. And again, we've not been his biggest fans this season, but Samari, I mean, we bought a champion, and he actually in that game showed what we bought, really. I mean, that 1-2 he did in the build-up to the goal, and then the pass just through to open space to Christensen to run onto it. I mean, it was for me, I actually said in the watch along, that's the best move of the match. And somebody said that's been the best move of the bloody year. And they probably weren't wrong.
You know what? I feel like Dean Smith had a complete fresh look on his players. I know we keep praising it for it. I know it's because it was so bad, it's probably easy to do. But he almost like he looked at Samari and went, "You're a bit of a stocky fella. I want you being aggressive. I don't want you being tippy-tappy, sideways passy." I did see how clever I was at me rhyming that. I could be a football manager, me. Anyway, you know what I mean? He looks at him and went, "You've got a bit about you. You've got a bit of build." I mean, his legs look like tree trunks. They really do. He's got some muscle about him. He went, "I want you to get in the face. I want you to win the ball. I want you to shoulder them off it. And I want you to just push us forward." Honestly, I know a lot of fans joined us for the watch along at the end for the full-time little fallout where we do our own
the immediate reaction.
Yeah, the immediate one. But he, and I'll say it when we get to the ending of the show where we go through my player ratings, but he was like a man possessed, and that's what we paid 20 odd million for. If that's the player we've got for 20 odd million and Dean Smith's cracked how to use him, that's what I want to see every game. It was fantastic.
As Brookline says there, that's exactly the way Samari played on the little highlights clips. Brendan is such a dope. I mean, I said this. I think it was in the post, in the post match straight after on the watch along. But the Vestergaard moment when Rob Tanner said to Brendan Rodgers, "Why did you buy a player that doesn't fit into your system or your style of play?" And he says, "But I have done." That's what, and he really put Rob Tanner down, and a year later he's dropping him and we never see him again. And Rob Tanner's going, but why buy a player I can't remember his exact words, but he said in that ended up with the first season when we bought him, he said, I need Samari to play like this. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't you buy a player that plays that way instead of buying a player and trying to change him?
It's almost like, Chris, that I mean, we joke about this time, but I really think that someone at Leicester must watch this channel when we do our post-match reports and stuff, because I said for weeks on end, and you also agree, you've agreed with me, and we both think alike on these sort of things. It's scary when we think alike, but we do. That is, Rodgers tried to make a team of individuals play his style, whereas Dean Smith's look at these bunch of individuals and gone, how can I get the best out of you lot and play a way that suits you lot? And can football really be that simple, Chris? Because he's making it look that way, because he's taken that 25-man squad and gone, okay, best mix, playing that way, best results, go. And that's exactly what we've seen.
I think it was Brian Clough once said that football is a simple game complicated by rules and tactics.
It certainly seems that way.
And I think it is. And I've got to say, and I wanted to mention this at the start, and I forgot, but from just following on very nicely from what you said, so thank you for the link in. If you go to Leeds at the weekend, there's a big sign on the main entrance that said, side before self every time. And I put a tweet out saying, shame Rodgers isn't here to actually read that, because it does feel like you've just said then. Dean Smith said, this is what they can do, this is what I'm going to get them to do. And where Rodgers, as you said, was looking and thinking like, well, this is what I want them to do. Simple, isn't it, really?
It really is. It just sums it up. I mean, like you said, why sign players and then ask them to play not to their strengths? It doesn't make any sense at all. You just got to do it right.
And I put a thing out again on my socials. Dear Top, have a word in John ears, as in Rudkins, and make sure we keep hold of this guy. Yours sincerely, Leicester fans. 2 games back. All right. Let's be honest with you. It is only 2 games. But to come back, be chosen to, and we touched on this again post-match on the watch-along, to be picked when you've got a player who's been playing all season twice a week sometimes in Suter, to go and say, this guy, and apparently Terry was telling me, it was actually John Terry that saw, why is this guy not playing? He's fantastic. But to come back in, have 2 man-of-the-match performances, I know that's very objective, but the guy that does our man-of-the-match, Alan Bennett, picked him 2 weeks running, and I actually agree with him. We've got to try and do our best. We've got to try and re-sign this guy, haven't we?
Well, it's like I said, it all depends on where Leicester are, what happens in the summer. Immediately, first thing that needs to be happened is when we know where we're playing our football, decide on Dean Smith. And then if you make that decision, make sure you're tempted, because that could be the difference. And I know people might say, no, go for Potter still, even if he keeps up. But the difference between keeping a player like Cags at the club and then ultimately still going off on a free no matter what could be that sort of manager in the dressing room. You don't know what Potter's like in the dressing room. We know he can get teams playing well, and I'm not disputing that. But if he's bringing this atmosphere in and all of a sudden Cags goes and plays 10 games, including the 2 he's already played, so he goes and finishes the season with 8 or 10 games to his name, he might think, if he's here, I don't want to go anywhere. I will take an offer. Even if it's 18 months he signs a contract for. It's better than saying, see you later, I guess, Cags, thanks for the memories.
We said, didn't we? We said that, I know I've said, and I believe, I think you have as well, you have to do what is best for the club. And if Dean Smith if Dean Smith keeps us up, he's created a bit of a miracle. All right, you could argue it's not as good as The Great Escape, but my God, had we not changed things, we wouldn't have even been talking about possibly staying up. We would have been talking about going down. He deserves that chance. And what we've seen is 10 games where we can say, this is what Dean Smith can do. You bring Potter in, and we don't know what he can do. Let's be honest with you. That is the gamble, because, this is almost like, Dean Smith being on a trial, isn't it? When
Yes.
you go in, you've got a week to impress us, and if you can make the McDonald's a cheeseburger look really nice, you've got the job. It's a bit like that.
Yeah. Well, it's a double audition as well, isn't there? Because we have to remember there's still players here that are on 2-3 year deals. So they're auditioning for whoever's going to be the manager, and if he's bringing the feel good factor, which he clearly has to the club, then these players are now auditioning for him as well as him auditioning for the club. And honestly, right, let's just go down the. Let's get ahead of ourselves here, right? Let's just say we do go and beat Leeds on Tuesday night, and we go and beat Everton, we go and beat Fulham, and Leicester are safe, and we go and get maybe 4 points out of Newcastle, Liverpool, and West Ham, and we stay up. Why wouldn't you give them a job? And why wouldn't you then players that feel happy and loving life at Leicester again want to work for this manager?
Yes.
If it's another guy in charge, they might go, well, I don't know if you're going to play me or not. I knew with Dean Smith I was going to play. So,
exactly.
don't rock the boat.
No, there's a lot to be said. But I think, to be honest with you, I mean, I'll just answer this question, then we're going to go on and have a look at Nacho's interview. Scott, good evening. How are you? Welcome along. Should the club be looking at the recruitment of players rather than the players the manager wants? I think it's got to be a combination of the two. And I don't think you've got to look, like you've just said, at who you're going to get in until you know who the manager's going to be. There's no point the recruitment staff saying, right, we're playing this player, buying this player, and you buy in a player that the ref, the guy wants to play, three at the back, and we've bought, another centre. It's got to be a combination, because you don't want to buy the wrong players, but then again, you don't want to be in the position that Brendan was, where we were buying players.
Yeah, of course. I mean, don't get me wrong. The recruitment team will be doing what. Yeah, I feel like there'll be certain parts of that backroom staff that Dean Smith will go, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm only an interim. So you do your job and build a list. So if I am here in the summer, you're going to give me 20 players. And I'm going to say, okay, I don't want a wing back. We don't need a wing back. So all the wing, and then he can analyse it and cross them off or tick them and go, that's the area. Yeah. Then he can judge for himself. But I think as an interim manager, he will say to the recruitment staff, you build a list for the summer. And if I'm in charge, brilliant, I'll look through your list. But I'm not. It's not my job, because I'm only here for 6 to 7 weeks, as I'm aware of.
Yeah. Right, let's have a look. The first goal scorer stood up, took a lot of bottle, let's be honest with you. But then again, it did on that Wembley penalty. We might find out who sponsors us again at the start of this video. But this is Kells talking post-match, and I'm sure he'll mention the penalty. Here we go. For some reason it played at the end. Let's play that from the start. I don't know what's going on here, guys. Bear with me.
It's very quiet.
It's not.
Well, that's my favourite moment, Chris. I love I love a Kel interview and hearing him speak. You had one job, Chris.
No, I'll tell you for why.
Obviously, we're gonna enjoy it, but we need to focus on the next game now.
Saw your roar at full time. Was that relief? Was it pride? Was it a mix of feelings?
Yeah, I think it's a sort of mixed feelings there, because obviously we haven't won in a long time, and I think this gives the fans hope. This gives the club hope. These 3 points give everybody in the football club hope to keep supporting, because so many people have doubt our qualities, our togetherness, our football, everything, our defending attack, everything. So, but today we showed character to win the game today. Hopefully, we keep the momentum going, and into the next game we keep winning.
And to win it from behind, what does that say about the spirit which Dean Smith has managed to instill in the group in such a small space of time?
Yeah, we have a strong character, and obviously when we go down, we didn't stop pressing, we didn't stop playing. We keep going and keep going, and we keep pushing each other to get the goal. So we are really happy sticking together as a group, doing this together. Everybody, the staff, the players, and the fans, most importantly. So we're really happy today. Hopefully, well, we keep that form to the next game.
No one was going to stop you taking that penalty. It was a pressure moment, but you were the coolest person inside King Power Stadium.
Yeah, I was confident. Yeah, I was calm, but there is always a pressure when you want to take a penalty because you don't know if you're gonna miss or score. So, luckily I scored and get the goal. So together we did it. Vaz get the penalty, and he did really well, making a good run behind the defenders to get us a penalty to come back in the game. So we're really happy.
And you played a slightly different role than we've seen today, almost like it in the number 10 role in the first half anyway. Did you enjoy that role? Is it something that you're very comfortable doing?
Yeah, at this point, I don't mind where I play at this point. So I just need to help my team to get the points that we need. Together we can do it. If I play up front or number 10 or wing, doesn't matter. So we just stick together as a team to get the points that we need.
Oh, I mean, I do apologise. I was playing the video. I was trying to avoid your FBS bit again because I know it was annoying you, and it kept jumping to about halfway through the video, and then it forgot to swap it over. How is that man not our number one striker?
No, I know you talk about Jamie Vardy and you said you'd bend over and have his children. I won't go that extreme with Nacho, but if I am 100%.
Yes,
I am
would.
100% straight, but I will actually admit I've always had a little bit of a man crush on Ian Nacho. I just love the way he talks so passionately. He's like, my club, our club, we need to. Oh, it's just like, oh, you just want to give him a hug. He looks so happy when we win and he plays well. You can sit here and you listen to him at the end there. I don't care where I play as long as I'm playing.
Yes.
Because please make sure. I don't care if you want to put Vardy left wing. Just I don't care. Find a way. Put him in defence. Put him in goal. Put him wherever. Just make sure Nacho's always in your 11 because he's so brilliant. I love his press conferences. I was one of them that when everybody kind of went, oh, I don't know, or well, at least we'll get 50 million off Man City with the buyback clause. I was like, no, don't let him go. Sign him. Get it out of the contract. He's so brilliant.
As Nate
he is,
said,
mate. Passionate and
humble. Yeah. Told you, bro. Normally it is 8:00, but we've got two shows tonight. We've got Sloppy Seconds later, which is talking about having Vardy's babies. We've got Sloppy Seconds, which is the Leeds United preview. Blame the Premier League sticking two games in a week so close together. I always have that problem, Lena. What can I say? It's why I'm living on my own these days. Anyway, moving on. Shall we have a look at our other goal scorer and see what he had to say post match? And what I'm going to do now, because I got it wrong last time, there we go. Let's do it first. Here we go, Timothy. It's over to you,
Timothy. Before we talk about Leeds, we have to mention the winning goal. He must have been thrilled to get there and to score.
Yeah, it's a big goal for us, because getting 3 points back here, and also I think we saw a bit of the real Leicester back today. I think the first half was tough, but second half we played better, and it was a very nice goal. The combination before was very good, and it's a very big goal for me.
In terms of your positioning, what's changed under Dean Smith from Brendan Rodgers?
He's not
it depends on the game. Normally on that one I should stay behind and only Vic can go, but I saw that I think it was Buba was there to cover, so I said I'm gonna go, and right ball, right time, so it's great.
We saw what it meant to you and to the fans to win the game. How important do you think the 3 points are for the mood, for the whole mood of the club?
Yeah, very big. I think before the game we had lots of doubts, and it's a very different atmosphere now after the game. So yeah, it's a big boost, but it's not because we won today that we're out. So we need to do the same on Tuesday. So
It's going to be a huge game, a big atmosphere at Ellen Road. What can you take from the first 2 matches under Dean Smith into that trip to West Yorkshire?
yeah, we had some good plays. I think the second half against Man City was also very good. So yeah, so far it's been good, and I hope it will continue like that.
Can I ask what it's like as a defender to train under John Terry, who, I'm sure when you were growing up watching football, must have been one of your idols?
Yeah, it's big, but I think when you speak to him, he's not, he's not being the big guy that is very nice. He's laughing. So it's good. It's a good relationship, and then he brings us his yeah, his experience, some tips, and it's been great so far.
And as a group now, you go to Leeds outside of the bottom 3. I guess the message is we have to stay there between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, we know if we win, we go in front of them as well. So it's good too. Yeah, the whole season the message was we're too good to be there, and now it's more like we're trying to hunt the teams above us, and yeah, it's a different mentality, and maybe it's going to be better for us.
And as a club, Leicester have had some very good days at Leeds in the past. Do you look back on those previous victories as a group as well?
No, I think it's different times, different players, and yeah, they've had another manager. We did the same, so we just have to watch what they did the last few games, what we can do to hurt them, and that's it.
I mean, again, I'm going to be honest here. It's not his first language. It was a bit. I don't know, come on, cheer it up a little bit. But look, the guy scored a goal, and I'm going to. Well, I'm just watching the time, so I'm going to move straight on because you have remembered to do something this week.
Exactly, you couldn't have timed that any better. I got them across to you, didn't I?
You have put your player ratings through. I was going to compare these to John, but I think not to John, to Jordan at the Mercury, but I think pretty much you agree. Let's just quickly run through a go. I mean, Everson, what a save at the end. Let's give him credit for that.
Yeah, it's why I gave him an 8. I mean, again, Dean Smith said it about the second half again in Man City. It was pretty much the entirety of the 90 minutes. He didn't have a lot to do, but you know what? All you can ask of a goalkeeper in that sort of scenario is when you have something to do, you do it well. And if I was to have put a little 1 or 2 lines underneath each rating to explain it, I would have basically put he stopped Wolves taking a share of the spoils with a fantastic save.
Yeah.
Deserved to be in Alan Shearer's man of the match. Did you know that? He's on Alan Shearer's team of the week. No Cags, though. Yeah. Justice for Cags, but yes, deserved an 8.
I think Everson and Castagna were the 2 that were in, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They were.
Now, I was on Ant's channel last night. I'm going to be doing a weekly show with him. Well, every week, obviously, that's the idea of a weekly show. And I've got to say that is very much a pro-Everson, anti-Ward channel. And he put a totally unbiased poll out asking sort of who was the better goalkeeper and who should stay until the end of the season. And I did call him Robert Mugabe because I think it was a fixed poll because he didn't include Smithies. And he is, part of the squad and should be included. So I actually call that poll. I know he's not watching now, but I call that poll in void, and that poll is void. And but look, was Ward that bad, or has Everson just look? The change needed to be made. People are saying, and I don't know who it was earlier. It might have been Terry was saying on a comment on one of the videos that Was it, again, Rodgers being stubborn and not admitting he'd made a mistake in dropping Ward sooner? Have we stumbled on the fact that Everson is maybe the better of the two?
I don't think there's actually, and people are going to go laugh at me here and or pop. Don't, if you're eating food, stop eating, swallow your food so you don't choke on your food when I say this. I don't think there's much difference between the pair of them. The biggest difference they've had in their time in between the sticks as Leicester's number one is, with the greatest respect, and again, I'm happy to see both of them play and do well for us. So there's no favouritism from me on either one of them, because this is why. Right, we have seen some man of the match performances by Ward this season, and he has faced what has felt like at times 30 shots a game. Let's be real. You look at some of our results, he's at least faced 15, 16 shots, and that's just on target. We're not talking in total. He's had a lot to deal with. He's had a team making capitulation mistakes after mistakes. Iverson, due to the new manager, a better structure, a little bit of stability with Sutar in January, granted. But he's had less of a bombardment, if you will. They've both had their shining moments. I'm just pleased whoever's in goal is playing well. And right now, I think there's no reason to drop Iverson.
No, he's there at the end of the season.
Yeah, he's got to be. He has to be. You can't drop somebody to then give somebody a good run in a team to drop them again. It'd mess things up. But would I be fearful of my life if I saw Ward in the team? No, because I know Ward can be capable of good performances, and maybe, unfortunately for Ward, the change in system, the change in management came too late. Had Dean Smith been there when Ward was still number one, he might have stuck with him, and we may have seen a different Ward, and people would have appreciated Ward better. But yeah, deserve credit when it's due, and that's why he gets the rate.
I think we're going to get, if we stay up, I think we are looking at a new goalkeeper coming in anyway, in my opinion. But let's have a look at the back four. Sorry, I'm just watching the time now, Brad. The back four, you got your man of the match in there. You agreed with Alan and a lot of other people. You got 3 sevens, and I've got to say, RIP to the gentleman off Strictly, Len Goodman. Talking of 7, who was passed away today. So RIP.
Yeah.
Let's hope he's gone to 7th heaven. But you got Soyuncu there, 9. We've touched on him earlier, but yeah, a deserving man of the match. Ran the ball, and he actually ran into a defender in the opposition half. I mean, not only Castagna, but Soyuncu was doing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, prior to Cags' exclusion from the squad, Maguire, the French Voldemort, JJ. Yes, I know he's a left wing back, but he was the same. We have lacked a driving force in that defence, and I know Wout Faes did it for a little bit, but I have noticed that Wout Faes is probably better if he's a bit more reserved. So it's good that he had Cags alongside him to do that. A little bit hypocritical of myself, but I'm going to take onus on the fact that he's a man of the match and a rating should stand out, because normally I say centre-back pairings, if you have a good game, deserve the same rating. I was going
to mention that.
But I can't give 2 man of the matches, so to make a standout one, in my opinion, he deserved the 9. But the back line did a very solid job, very good all round, and that's why the rest of them all got the same with 7s.
Yeah. I want to highlight Sumari there, 7. I mean, it was for him, it was outstanding, and probably, I'd probably go as far as saying his best game that he's played for us, and if he would go that far. But we've always said that we haven't had that midfield enforcer.
No, we needed the Conte. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is that, or could that be Sumari?
It could be. Like I said, he's got the physique to be that bully, no nonsense. He does remind me of Fernandinho, Yaya Toure in that sense, because that's what they did for Man City, didn't they? That that he kind of bullied them off the ball. He got in the face. He kind of had like an aggressive scroll about them. Yeah. He was a little bit quiet in the first half, and I think maybe Dean Smith went, go out there. Go out there and show that strength you've got. And that's where the performance came from. He would have, had Keggs not been so brilliant, he was my second for man of the match in terms of what he did. And I know I gave Iverson an 8, but I would, had Samari been a full 90 minutes like that, he would have been an 8 as well. But yeah, that's the idea. That Kante-esque style player with a bit more muscle behind him, he could be one for the future.
Definitely. We need that aggression. We need somebody that will stand there and go, "Yeah, you ain't coming past me, mate." And
Exactly.
we both love Mendy, but let's be honest with you, you could pole vault over him, couldn't you?
Yeah, bless him.
But he's got that stature. Like, come on then, if you think you can do it. Talking about coming on and doing it, Vardy again. He's taken criticism from the pair of us this season, despite the fact that he's Boris's poster boy. But he did what he used to do in that first half. That was the first time we have seen him make that sort of run. That he earned that penalty. Yes, he was clearly trod on, and it was a penalty. But this season he would not have been making that run to earn that penalty, would he?
No, and apologies to whoever it was that put the comments up. I don't know if it was Nate or Brookline. I know it was an orange bad, but they basically said, talking about Dean Smith, he had Vardy playing on the shoulder of the last man. It's where the goal came from. You saw Iheanacho just waited, and he played that pass. And I, talk about pass, people moan about it, but how did Danny Drinkwater used to link up with Vardy? He didn't play it to Vardy directly. He played it in an area because he knew Vardy was running there. And that's what happened with Iheanacho for the penalty. Vardy wasn't in that position. He played the ball to that position because he knew that's where Vardy was running to.
And that's the sort of played the ball through.
I'm 90% sure it was Iheanacho. Someone might correct me.
I'm not 100%. If anybody knows, but I think it was Iheanacho that played that through. What a ball through, though!
It was because he gets it. He gets it past the guy who's kind of shadowing that direct pass. He puts it between the defender. He puts it in an area as well that's so inch perfect because the goalkeeper has to come out and get it, but he knows that if he doesn't get it, it's a penalty. And I will give credit here to their goalkeeper Jose Sarr. He put his hands up to apologise and he didn't even argue. He knew it was a penalty. He kind of went, "No, I didn't mean it." Right, yeah, fair, it's a penalty. He didn't argue. You know what some keepers do? They get in the referee's face and start giving it order. No. He was like, knackers, I've caught him. I know. So fair play to the goalkeeper. But like you said, roll back the clock for Jamie Vardy there. Maybe he wasn't past it. Maybe we just stopped playing him to how we should do. Who knows, Chris? Who knows?
Who knows? I want to ask Dewsbury Hall because LCFC is just coming. Good evening. And it says, interesting you've given KDH a decent rating. Do you think he's got his performance better since that red card?
Yeah, I do. I think maybe to quote a song, I think it's Song 41 that starts off with maybe he's trying closer and maybe he's trying too hard and maybe Dewsbury Hall being his best was closer than it was too far. I managed to figure out the lyrics in my head in a way there.
I don't even know the song, so you've lost me anyway,
Yeah. Well, there you go. But no, I mean, like I said, he was trying to show the right intent, but he was going about it all the wrong way, and that's why he ultimately got that second yellow and missed the game because of his red card he got in that game. And I think Dean Smith utilised him well. He went, "You come on, take that free roam and do what you do best. I don't want you playing central defensive. I don't want you running around like a headless chicken, not seeing the ball. You get fined."
You got a no to Leicester for life, mother.
Yeah. And I think it was an improvement. And this is how I try and do these ratings. I try and base it on how have they bettered themselves from the last few games. And it was a substitute appearance that was forced on him because Vardy, he didn't want to risk him.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you make a word character go from a negative to a positive? I don't know. It's genius. But anyway, he took Vardy off. He praised him. Well done. He said, "You've done more than enough this half. Well done. You've done what we needed you to do. Don't risk yourself. Kieran, go out there and show me what I've asked you to do." And he did that. So yeah, deserved the 7 for me.
Maybe because I think as an impact sub, he had a great impact. He gave that, like I say, that extra bite in midfield and moving forward as well. I know you we say it all the time. You're not a lover of stats. I am, and it's my show, so there we go. I just want to put this up, and we'll leave one more question after this. But I just want to bring this up because not for the fact of comparing it that we had 15 shots, they had 16 shots. We had 15 shots, 8 of which were on target. Do you know? Was it nearly 2 games without having actually a shot, and not just on target, having a shot. 15 in one game. That's more than we probably put together under about 5 with Brenda. I mean that if somebody a lot wiser than me said. And it's very Owen-esque. It was actually somebody. It was on the BBC website during the watch along, and I quoted it, and I can't remember who it was, but it was an ex-player.
Jermaine Beckford.
Yes, it could well have been. And he said, "You're not going to score goals if you don't have shots." And I think that is definitely bloody obvious, but obviously not obvious. Obviously not obvious to Brendan, because that I just got to put that up just for the 15 shots we had.
Well, I just want to add to that, Chris. I mean, we're on the same page. It's scary. You need to start reading a different book to me, otherwise people are going to say we agree too much.
I'm agreeing with Ant. I'm agreeing with you.
I know, times have changed. It's a different world we live in.
I retire and I'm mellow. That's what's happened.
That's what it is, Chris. Retirement does that to you. Yeah. But no, it's not just the shots we had. Them shots on target. We probably had more shots on target in that one game than we had in the previous 8. I mean, we scored more goals in the last 2 games than we had in the previous 8 because we got one against. Did we score one against Villa and we got one against Brentford? And so God, it just tells you the difference. It's almost like we were missing aggressive attacking play, and that simple fix is what's caused it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I can't fathom that managing a football club so easy to change their attitude and performances. But it clearly has, Chris, because like you said, not just shots, but the shots on target are 8 times better than they have been.
Yes, yeah, and everybody said, "Well, look, he's gone now. Let it go. We've moved on from Brendan." And yes, I accept we have, but just get ready for this tomorrow.
Catch up with the BBC's Tuesday Talking Point. Every Tuesday from Leicester till LTID TV. Only on the BBC's Leicester City webpage.
My South African friend there, just in case you're wondering. And I'm actually putting a bit, and I can't read it out because you've got to see it on the website tomorrow. But one line in it is West Ham, don't do it. And that's just a friendly. I know Richard was in earlier, but that's just a friendly warning if you are thinking about it at the end of the season. We're going to call it an end now because we have got obviously a show coming up at 9:00, which is the preview. And because we've got so many, the match is coming thick and fast, and it's tomorrow night, we are doing the press conference tonight we're going to look at. So that's at 9. And then Brad and Carl, a Leeds fan that's been on the show before, will be joining us to preview the game. Very last question, Brad. Leeds away tomorrow. Everton home on Saturday, I think it is. Is it? Or Sunday, I'm not sure. Or even Monday.
Saturday. I think it's Monday, isn't it? It's Monday night.
Yeah. No, we've got a weekend off. Win those 2 games, safe?
I think you'd have to say that again. I'm going off my mid-season predictions. 34 points would be enough to keep us up. That would put us on what we're on now.
28.
28. So 6 more points to that. I can't do maths. It's 34. So it would. I think it'd be more a case of when more than if for Leicester. If you turn that point, of course, You never know with Southampton and Forest and Everton. Well, obviously, we'd be playing Everton on Monday night. But if we get in a position where we've got a little bit of a gap before we play Everton, that we can't drop into the bottom three, or maybe we've opened up a 3-point gap, you would like to feel that if you only got to keep your lead of 3 to 4 points with 4 games to go, that we're going to do it. I just couldn't see Southampton or Forest catching us. And then if you beat the team that's 17th, 18th, you open up a gap between them. I would like to say we're safe.
I think that it's because it's Leeds and Everton. I think if those 2 games were, let's say, Palace and West Ham, no, we still need to get more points. But because it's a 6-point thing, isn't it? We're taking 3 points, but we're also stopping them getting 3 points, and that's why I think we can do it.
Yeah, if you come to about 9:45 or whatever time it'll be when we finish on a Monday night, and Leicester are 5 points clear of Forest and 4 points clear of Everton, you're asking a team that haven't been able to do it all season to overturn, they've got to win 2 games and we've got to lose 2 games in 4.
We've only got Newcastle coming up. Let's not, at Newcastle. Let's not
Fulham, West Ham in between that, and a dodgy Liverpool, more dodgy than a curry from a house at 1 a.m. If we honestly beat Leeds, if we honestly beat Leeds and Everton, and even a point at Fulham, I'd still say it's a decent point.
I think Fulham is winnable. No Mitrovic at the moment.
Well,
The last 2 games that they've won were Leeds and Everton. Before that, they lost to West Ham, they lost to Bournemouth, and they lost to Arsenal. But their form's very much in the mix. Liverpool, I thought after that 6-1 drubbing of Leeds, I thought, shite. But then look at the performance against Forest. Forest gave them a good run for the money. So
they did.
At least we're talking like this. I think if the bell end was still ringing, I think we wouldn't be having these sort of conversations. Brad,
no, we wouldn't. Mate.
Thank you so much. Terry, I fancy a point against Fulham at least. You're going to be back with us just after 9 o'clock, but just tell people, your details are in the description below, but tell people where they can find you. Oops. No, that would be right.
They can find me in the backstage room because he gets sick of me being there. No, you can find me. You can find me on Facebook. All you have to do is look for this ugly mug with the name Brad. You'll soon find it. It's holding a Premier League trophy. So for you non-Leicester fans, it's a big giant thing with a crown on top of it. But for you Leicester fans, you know what I look like holding it. You can follow me on Twitter at Fulltime Focus, which is not the BBC show that I thought it was. But my Twitter handle is at Fulltime Focus, and my YouTube channel is Top 10 Battles. So show your support to this channel first. Chris is doing amazing. Try and get him to 2,000 subs. So hit the subscribe button here and the like button to this show if you've enjoyed it. Even if you've not, just like it.
Yes, we don't care whether you like it or not. Just support us. But thanks very much, mate. I will see you back at night. Nip off and get some food. I'm going to do the same. Take care.
Yeah, we'll do, mate. Cheers for having us on.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Top 10 Battles. Check it out. The description is in the link below. Always is for every show for Brad. And we will be back. Yes. I'll be back with this.
Coming up next on Leicester Till I Die TV.
It is the preview show, Leeds United, 9 o'clock, with the press conference from Mr. Dean Smith. And that was held earlier today, 10 o'clock this morning. That completely threw me out. I think we're still in bed. And of course, like I say, we'll get a Leeds fan joining us as well. Can we get another 3 points? Do you know what? I have a feeling it is going to go down to the wire. But fingers crossed, we can get another 3 points tomorrow night. And that will just put the icing on the cake for the weekend, won't it? I will see you later. And now it's over to my favourite lady, because thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you've been on the podcasts. And thank you very much for joining in the chat. We really do appreciate it. Smash the likes, and subscribe if you're new. It really does help the channel out an awful lot. This has been LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die, and this, like I say, it's my favourite lady. What can I say? Good night.
These videos are so dreamy. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.